Good morning and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission. Today we are discussing an application from Baltimore Gas and Electric Company for changes to their electric and gas rates using a multi-year plan in case number 9645. We are on the record. My name is Jason Stanek. I am the chairman of the Maryland Public Service Commission. With me are Commissioners Anthony O'Donnell and Commissioner Mike Richard. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to receive public comment regarding BGE's application for changes to its electric and gas rates. The commissioners cannot answer any substantive questions regarding the application since it is a litigated and contested proceeding, although we may be able to answer procedural questions. In attendance tonight, we also have representatives from Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, as well as a representative from Staff Council of the Maryland Public Service Commission, and a representative from the Maryland Office of People's Counsel. To the extent members of the public have any questions of these parties, we could provide that contact information, and those discussions can occur offline. We also have a court reporter with us tonight. He will be taking a transcript of tonight's comments. So when you speak, please state and spell both your first name and your last name so that he could produce a very clear record. I'll begin by recognizing Mr. John Frain of the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company to give us some background regarding this filing that was made on May 15th of 2020. Good evening, Mr. Frain.
Good evening, Chairman Stanek, and thank you. My name is John Frain. I'm the Director of Regulatory Strategy for Baltimore Gas and Electric, and I'm grateful for the chance to speak tonight. BGE appreciates the Commission's continued interest in enhancing utility rate making in Maryland and allowing BGE to serve as the pilot utility for a multi-year plan. A multi-year plan is forward-looking and allows certainty about rates. It allows greater transparency and accountability about utility investments, and it also reduces the costs of annual rate cases. In BGE's multi-year plan, we are explaining what we are going to do over the next 3 years, what it's going to cost for that work to be done, and we are agreeing to be held accountable to that budget. To aid in the region's recovery from the pandemic, BGE is proposing an innovative 3-year multi-year plan. It allows for flat base rates for 2 years for 2021 and 2022, while allowing us to invest in the BGE system, supporting safe and reliable service. There will be no base rate increase until 2023 under BGE's proposed multi-year plan. This will allow customers to have certainty about those base rates for 3 years. The multi-year plan will also substantially benefit the Maryland economy. It will support 26,000 jobs over the 3-year period and $15 billion in local economic impact over that same time. It also has several important environmental benefits for Maryland. The natural gas investments that we will be doing over the multi-year plan period will reduce carbon emissions by 1.1 million metric tons. Our electric vehicle program will support over 1 billion electric vehicle miles, making the air cleaner in Maryland for every electric vehicle mile driven. In total, we're going to be investing over the multi-year plan period over $5 billion in the local Maryland economy. This is going to include important projects that will help reduce the frequency and duration of power outages, as well as prepare the grid for extreme weather. We're also replacing outmoded technologies such as the 4 kV electric system to improve reliability, enable greater adoption of solar and electric vehicle charging, and to assist customers who want to use more modern technologies. Even with all of this, it's important to remember that with our multi-year plan that we proposed, BG residential bills will remain 22% lower than they were in 2008. In closing, BG's multi-year plan is in the public interest. It's good for customers, good for the Maryland economy, and good for the Maryland environment. And we welcome the opportunity for review of our proposed multi-year plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frain. This is the first of 3 public comment hearings where the Commission will solicit comment from members of the public. At this time, we will hear from members of the public, beginning with Mr. Patrick Smith, who represents Partners for a Clean Chesapeake. Good evening, Mr. Smith. If you could please state and spell your name for the record. Sir, you're still on mute.
Thank you. My name is Patrick, Patrick. Last name is Smythe. S is in Sam, M is in Mary, Y, T is in Tom, H. Partners for a Clean Chesapeake is 4 individuals at this point. We are not organized. We are concerned citizens. I started by going to the Senate Finance Committee hearing in Annapolis in February, and listened to the hearing about closing the coal-fired power plants. In that hearing, there were very few people who represented. There were nobody who represented the livelihood of the people of the Chesapeake Bay, the boaters, the fishermen, the watermen, the recreational hunters and fishers, etc. People who make their living doing this, guiding boats, etc. And there was just a report from the EPA that came out about the level of mercury in all of the fish in the Chesapeake Bay. They are finding all of them with extremely high amounts of mercury, and all of that comes from burning coal and burning gas. If the BG&E wants to make a long-term contract, it should contract with solar and wind-powered technology, because we've been poisoning ourselves long enough. We've been putting. I met with the watermen in February, and there were about 60 of them there. They said some 10 or 20 years ago they'd have 200 to 300 of them there. So these people are being put out of jobs because of the levels of poison in the Chesapeake Bay. They think it's about the environmentalists. No, it's about the polluters. We have a chance to shift all that. We have a chance to make our fish, our oysters, our clams and crabs safe to eat for the local population, and to export them if we're able to clean it up. We are in a very difficult situation that we're about to lose everybody else's livelihoods while we're keeping the investors and the people of BG&E afloat while they're investing all of this into gas. And I know how much they're investing, because they brought it to my neighborhood and said that I could get it for free as long as I bought a gas stove or a gas heater in the next 3 years. So I know that they're investing a lot into this, but it's the wrong way to go. So I suggest, yes, they make long-term contracts, but they make them with solar and wind energy. I have had my energy supplier with Constellation Energy. They supply 100% solar and wind for less than BG&E was supplying for what they for the gas prices that they offer to the general public. Why don't they get those same things there? And why don't we, Maryland, can take from the fund that was meant for transitioning and supply more people with funding to put solar on their own houses. This would reduce the need for burning any kind of fossil fuel. And it would get us off of and help us close the coal-fired power plants as well. Yes, some people will lose jobs, but look at what you're doing for the local population as far as reducing their medical bills, reducing their their respiratory problems and heart problems. So, and then you're building more jobs elsewhere with the increase or the decrease in pollution will come, and nature will take care of itself and bring itself back. I know that we have been able to, in 2016, natural gas, BG&E used 26.34%. In 2018, they used natural gas at 28%. And this past year, natural gas made up 36% or more of their source. So coal has come down and nuclear has come down, but the amount of solar that have gone up just in the process of individuals having to put it on their own houses with very little support from Maryland legislature or the counties. It's gone up from 4.48% to, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's the whole renewable energy. It's going up 2.23 and about 2.36 to about 4.0. So it's rising on its own accord, but BG&E could help out a lot by purchasing that from the farms, which mostly come from the West, and where their coal used to come from, all the way from Wyoming. So there is supplies of renewable energy out there that can be bought. They have electricians. They could invest in the solar, the wind power plants off the coast. There's all kinds of things they can do. So I propose that we allow them to enter into these long-term contracts, but they must buy renewable energy. And if Constellation can get it that cheap, they can get it that cheap too.
Thank you, Mr. Smythe, for your comments this evening. We have a caller on the line. If the caller could please identify yourself and please state and spell your name for the record.
Hi, is everyone to hear me?
We can hear you. If you could just speak up a little louder.
Okay. Apologies. My name is Melissa Dash. I was having a hard time logging in to the call earlier, but I'm one of the public that's calling in for the call.
Thank you. Ms. Dash, could you please spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Sure. It's MELISSADASH.
Thank you. We're now ready to receive your comments.
So I'm pretty new at this. I understand that these calls happen every so many years or so. I guess the question I have, and I don't know if anyone's covered it, because I'm new at this, my concern was how it seems like from what I've read from the website that we are anticipating, BG&E rather is anticipating losses. They're anticipating losses for gas and electric. And I guess my question is, since they are now doing multi-year rate planning, I understand some other states have done it. Has BG&E researched how to do this, how to carry this out? And also, the other concern I had was, as far as the class of customers, my issue is that with residents seem to always get the brunt end of the deal. They're anticipating billions of dollars in losses for year 21 to 23. How do they know they're anticipating these losses? And again, how much of it residents are going to have to eat up? And will it change services? Will it improve services? And I guess I just really want to know what blueprint or what plan do they have with the rates that they have going right now, because one of my services, I'm straight through BG&E, and I think another service I do someone else. But regardless, the point is, are those rates that I'm currently using, are they grandfathered in? I don't know what the behaviors are going to be post-COVID, and my concern is just getting the brunt end of this deal for billions rather, when you consider the gas and electric costs. But have you guys considered other utility companies that did this, and what was the outcome?
Thank you, Ms. Dash. I recognize that you missed the very beginning of the hearing tonight. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to receive public comment on the multi-year rate application filed by BGE. The commissioners are not in a position, and we are unable to answer any questions regarding the substance of that application, since it will be a litigated, contested, and on the record proceeding. However, we do have representatives on the line from BG&E who we could provide you their contact information, and they could explain or attempt to answer your questions offline.
Okay.
I would recommend that you do that, and then we'll have 2 more public comment hearings, both in August and September, where if you wish, you may return and provide us with those comments. Would you like the contact information for the BGE representative?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Frain, can you provide that information on air now for Ms. Dash?
Certainly. Ms. Dash,
Might I suggest use of the messaging function of this form so that it doesn't
Sure.
get broadcast? I can save you, Mr. Frank.
yeah, thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. And Ms. Dash, I think you're on the phone, so I don't know that you're able to use the messaging right now with this, but I do believe that that we may have contact information for you, or I certainly can think using the technology here. I can't see a phone number, but
Okay.
we can contact you, Ms. Dash, and certainly are willing to have a conversation and answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Frain.
And
We
I'm
have
gonna-
everybody's contact information, so a staff member will send you Ms. Dash's information, and if you could contact her, that would be terrific.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Mr. Cleaver.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Joe Cleaver for the Office of People's Counsel. May I also offer Ms. Dash the opportunity to chat with me? I would be more than happy to talk to her offline. I can obtain her contact info and send her my email address.
Thank you, Mr. Cleaver. I believe she's already hung up, but we'll have that information available.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Privately. Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak this evening? Hearing none, thank you for coming out tonight and sharing your comments. We will, as I mentioned, have 2 additional public comment sessions. Please. Oh, Mr. Smythe, do you have an additional comment?
Well, I have a question. Can I get their information so that if I have questions, I can ask?
Yes, we will do the same thing for you. Your information will be shared with Mr. Frain.
Okay, great. Thank you.
He will contact you.
Okay.
Thank you. Seeing no additional persons wishing to speak tonight, please have a safe evening. This hearing is adjourned.